Welcome back to the channel, folks. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon and The Blackest Heart, both published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today, I'm going to be reviewing book number 3 in Louis L'Amour's Gunslingin' Kilkenny series, and it is called Kilkenny. Do-do-do-do. You know, I talked about book number 1, Rider of Lost Creek, book number 2, The Mountain Valley War, and now we are on book number 3, Kilkenny. Let's talk about the covers, because I forgot to talk about the covers of these first 2 novels. So this is a great Western, typical Western cover, just fantastic. I forget the name of the guy that did it. I think his name was George something or other. This one was done by Stephen Assel. Not Stephen Asshole, but Stephen Assel. He was a great, this guy did a lot of Western covers back in the 80s and 90s. He also did a lot of fantasy covers back in the 80s and 90s. So if you ever read fantasy books, you might recognize his style. And then this one was done by Gordon Crabb, who also did a lot of Western novels back in the 80s and 90s, and a lot of fantasy and science fiction novels back in the, so he's a well-known illustrator too. So I like all 3. Each book in the trilogy was done by a different illustrator, and I like all the illustrations. Thumbs up on that. What about book number 3? I reviewed book number 1, The Rider of Lost Creek. You can find that on my channel. I reviewed book number 2, The Mountain Valley War. And now, book number 3, Kilkenny, The Reluctant Gunslinger. You know, these 2 books were Louis L'Amour's first ever Western novels. He published them under the name Jim Mayo in 1946 and 1947. He reluctantly published them under a pseudonym. He always wanted to use his real name, Louis L'Amour, but the publisher was like, no, we like Jim Mayo. We want you to be Jim Mayo, the Western writer. And not only that, but we want you to rewrite these books. And Louis L'Amour was very hesitant to rewrite the books, but he was a new writer and he wanted the publishing contract. And so he's like, I'll rewrite the books and I'll go under the name Jim Mayo because I want to be a writer. And so he rewrote the books using a typewriter, which that was the main thing. People did not like doing rewrites back in the day because it's not like you had a word processor and everything just sort of word processed itself. No, typewriters were like cumbersome, bulky metal. If you don't know what they were, I mean, Google typewriter and your steampunk dreams will come true, because typewriters are kind of like a steampunk version of a computer/laptop all in one. And back in the day, that's all people used to write. It's just, I mean, this history. I'm giving you history lessons here, people. But anyway, these 2 books came out in the 1940s. And then Louis L'Amour wrote a book called Westward the Tide, and he published it under his own name, Louis L'Amour, in the early 50s. And it became a huge hit. And then he published Hondo, which became an even huger hit and was made into a John Wayne movie. So then the Louis L'Amour name got huge. And so then he decided, I want to finish out my Kilkenny the Gunslinger trilogy under my own name and then republish these under my own name. So he wrote in the mid-1950s the final volume, actually titled Kilkenny, and then Bantam re-released these 2 books under the Louis L'Amour name. They ditched Jim Mayo. That was long history, and we don't have any Jim Mayo novels anymore. Thankfully, we got Louis L'Amour novels, and there's hundreds of them. So these books, they were his first books. They were written these are really thin books, like 120 pages each. I blew through these in like 45 minutes each. I loved every minute of them. They're very, unlike, these are very Saturday matinee feel. They've got a very Saturday matinee feel to them. They're very like Indiana Jones, action-packed, cliffhanger, chapter endings, fast-paced adventure. They're a little over the top with the Western sort of fantasy, like the gunslingers are all real fast, and there's not a lot of realism to them, And Louis L'Amour's, his later books were known for their realistic portrayal of the Old West and what it was really like back then. These are more of a fantasy version of the Old West. Still great. We've got Gunslinger Kilkenny. This was actually made into a movie, not called Kilkenny. So if you ever try to Google the movie Kilkenny, you ain't gonna find nothing. I did a little Wikipedia search, and this was made into a movie and they retitled the movie. The movie company retitled Kilkenny to Black Jack Ketchum Desperado. So if you want to watch the movie version of this, just Google Black Jack Ketchum Desperado. And from what I gathered off the internet, that movie Black Jack Ketchum Desperado bears no resemblance to the book Kilkenny, even though it was taken from the book Kilkenny. Hollywood was bonkers then. It's just as bonkers 60 years ago as it is now. Just film the fucking goddamn book and name it Jesus. Now I'm all worked up. Now I can't even talk about the book. I'll just read you the back. This is a dynamite gunslinger adventure set in northern Utah. Kilkenny kind of wanders around. He calls himself Trent. And if you read the Mountain Valley War or watched my review of that, you know, he doesn't like to go by the name Kilkenny because Kilkenny is known as a dangerous gunslinger. So he wanders the west and he says, my name is Trent. But people eventually figure out he's Kilkenny. But anyway, he's wandered from Utah and Nevada. Now he's in Utah. Yeah, he wandered through Idaho, Nevada. Now he's in Utah. He's settled in Utah. And again, he's gotten involved in another ranch war. Another war with the ranchers. So Kilkenny wasn't looking for trouble when he entered the Clifton House station. But trouble found him when a reckless youngster called Tetlow challenged him, drew his gun, and paid for it with his life. Because Kilkenny's the better gunfighter. I mean, didn't they read the other two books? Looking to escape the fast draw reputation he never wanted, Kilkenny settles in the lonely mountain country of Utah, planning to ranch in a high, lush valley. But the past is on his trail. Jared Tetlow is a powerful rancher who is determined to run his vast herd in the limitless grasslands there, whether he has to buy out the local ranchers, run them out, or kill them all. He'll cut down anyone who stands in his way, especially a man he already despises, the gunman named Kilkenny, the man who killed his son. Yeah, these are fast, quick little reads. I enjoyed them all. So we're done with the Kilkenny trilogy of early Louis L'Amour novels. I give this an 8 out of 10. I think that the trilogy is great. Anybody who wants just a quick, fast, adventurous Western read should get this trilogy. Good on Louis L'Amour for writing it.